If investigators don't know how the intruder got into the house, then how do they even know that somebody broke in? Hey everyone, it's Lucky with Unfiltered Lucky. And today we're going to be going back to the Travis and Jamelyn JUETTEN crimes. Now, before we get into the video, I want to let you all know that we will be talking about the change of venue in the Bryan Kohberger case tomorrow. Now, I don't think there was any surprises. I think we all knew that they were going to move this trial. But we're going to talk about that more tomorrow because there were a few surprises. But today, let's talk about the JUETTENs. I want to talk about some of the aspects of this crime that simply just don't make sense. There's a lot of inconsistencies in the statements, and there's a lot of questions surrounding the stories that people are talking about when they're talking about Travis and Jamelyn JUETTEN. One of the issues that I continue coming across as I'm doing research and also as I'm receiving information is that there seems to be kind of a different narrative between the friends and family of Travis and Jamelyn and the Marion County Sheriff's Department. Now, family and friends of the JUETTENs state that Travis and Jamelyn woke up as they were being attacked. So basically, they were asleep and someone went in their room and began attacking them, and then they woke up. But the Marion County Sheriff's Department states that Travis confronted an unknown individual inside the house, and that's when he was attacked. So in my opinion, that's very different. I talk about this more in depth in my last video because I believe that this is very important because this could change the motive. I mean, it's important to know whether Travis was awake and on his feet when he confronted this individual, or if he woke up as he was being attacked and he was possibly fighting this intruder from his back as he was laying on the bed. Because to me, that doesn't sound like confronting. The definition of to confront is to meet someone face to face in a hostile or argumentative manner. So that doesn't sound like someone who was attacked while they were asleep. To me, it sounds like Travis got out of bed, met this unknown individual face to face, and that's when the attack occurred. So I think that's a very important aspect. And that's one of the inconsistencies in the statements, is that it appears that the friends and family of Travis and Jamelyn have kind of a different idea about what happened. But it seems as though they would have talked to Jamelyn about this. You know, Jamelyn would have been able to tell them her and Travis were both asleep when they were attacked. But Marion County Sheriff's Department makes it very clear that Travis confronted this individual inside the house. And to me, that just doesn't sound as though Travis and Jamelyn were attacked as they slept. Something else that I've really been looking into is the injuries to Jamelyn. She suffered 19 knife wounds. Now, that doesn't mean that they were all stabs. You know, they could have also been slashes or basic cuts. But she suffered 19 knife wounds. Now, she also suffered a fractured skull, in addition to 2 fractured vertebrae and a fractured shoulder blade. So that's a lot of damage. And it would also indicate that Jamelyn wasn't only stabbed, but she was also battered. You know, this intruder did not stop at just using the knife as a weapon. It's very possible that Jamelyn was kicked or thrown or even struck with a blunt object. Now, if she was struck with a blunt object, that would be a good indication that this intruder used more than one weapon, which would add a whole new element because we know that this intruder is holding a knife in one hand. So it doesn't appear as though this intruder would be holding a knife and a blunt object, and have both of his hands full. So it's very possible that these fractures were caused by a blunt object. Now, it seems odd that this intruder would break into the house and then attack this couple with a knife. We can assume that Travis's life was taken first because it's been described that he was protecting his wife, Jamelin. So it would seem as though this attacker maybe went after Travis in a hurry in order to move over to Jamelin, because the family states that they woke up to being attacked and that Jamelin was trying to help Travis. So now this attacker is fighting two people. So it seems as though this attacker would want to incapacitate one of the two so that he wasn't fighting both of them at the same time. So I'm really looking for information about Travis's injuries. I really wonder how extensive Travis's injuries were. Did he suffer any fractures? Were his injuries comparable to Jamelin's? That's something that I would definitely like to know. Travis's best friend, Elaine Leon, stated that whoever committed these crimes was an evil, demonic entity. So these injuries were extensive. And Jamelin, she suffered extensive injuries. And thank goodness she survived. It's amazing that she did. But I would be curious to know if Travis's injuries were consistent with Jamelin's injuries. We're going to talk more in depth about the injuries in future videos because I have information that I'm trying to put together right now, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to present this information because I have a feeling that some of these details that we're going to talk about in future videos are going to be uncomfortable. They're going to be aspects of this investigation as well as this crime that a lot of people might not really want to talk about. But it's important, and we need to talk about those things. So we are going to talk about those things in future videos. Now, something else that caught my attention is that people close to the JUETTEN crimes have stated that this house guest opened the bedroom door and yelled out to the intruder that, well, first, let them know that there was somebody else alive in the house, which is odd, but yelled out to this intruder that law enforcement had been called. And that was stated by some of the people who were close to Travis and Jamelin. But I haven't been able to find that anywhere else. Marion County Sheriff's Department never said that, never mentioned that this house guest opened the door and yelled out to the intruder. Marion County Sheriff's Department only says that the house guest called 911 as the attacker was leaving the house. This would make a lot more sense. One of you all said in the comments, you guys made a lot of really great points on my last video in the comment section. And I really appreciate that because I always love to see your thoughts and ideas. There's a lot of comments that have been left on these videos that send me down these rabbit holes because they do make sense. And in my last video, one of you made a comment that makes a lot of sense, and that is that this house guest basically opened the bedroom door and yelled out to the intruder. Now, why would they do that? You know, this house guest really had two choices. That was it was fight or flight. So either this house guest was going to try to help Jamelin and Travis, or they were going to flee and call 911. It's very possible they may stay in the room and hide as they call 911, but it seems very odd that they would open the bedroom door and call out to this individual who just brutally attacked two people in this house with a knife and possibly other weapons. It seems odd that this house guest would draw attention to himself. It seems more likely that maybe he would have hid in the bedroom where he was at and called 911. Maybe even fled the house, climbed out the window, ran out the front door, and called 911 from outside. But it just seems very strange to me that this house guest alerted the intruder that they were in the house and then just stayed put in the bedroom. What if this intruder doesn't get scared off and run? What if this attacker decides to go after the house guest? I mean, they just brutally took Travis's life and probably assumed that they also took Jamelin's life. They're not going to care about attacking one more person. So to me, it seems odd that this house guest would give up their position by actually opening the bedroom door and yelling out to this individual who just viciously attacked these homeowners. The statement that was made by Marion County Sheriff's Department makes more sense. That this house guest maybe hid or maybe even left the house and went outside and called 911 as the intruder was already leaving the house. You know, didn't call out to this intruder right in the middle of this attack. To me, that would make more sense. Now, something else that I think is kind of odd is that law enforcement stated that this intruder broke into the house, but that they didn't know how. So how do you determine that someone broke into the house, that somebody forced their way into this house, but you don't know how they got in? I mean, it seems as though there would have been signs of breaking and entering, and that's what would give you the idea that somebody broke into the house. So how did investigators know that somebody broke into the house if there was no, if they couldn't find any signs of where they broke in? They wouldn't even know that somebody broke in unless they saw a sign of breaking and entering. So that just seems really strange to me, because nobody around this crime seems to know how this intruder got into the house. That's odd to me. Now, at first I thought maybe since Travis and Jamelin lived on this farm, out of the way, there was no direct neighbors or anybody really around this house, that they might just leave their doors unlocked. It's not uncommon for people who live in small towns to leave their doors unlocked. But then I was also thinking that the main road runs right in front of their house, and also another road along the side. So I do think that they did lock the doors at night. I wonder if the house guest actually saw the intruder leaving the house. I wonder if this house guest saw this intruder at all, or if he was in the bedroom, hiding as he called 911. It's very possible that this house guest never saw this attacker. Now, it's also very possible that this house guest fled the house. That seems like a sensible response to get away from the situation. Maybe climb out the window. Maybe they were in a position where he could run out the front door and call 911 from outside. I feel as though if this house guest ran outside, that he would be able to identify this vehicle, possibly get a license plate number. Because I highly doubt that this intruder got to the JUETTEN house on foot. Now, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle, and I have a lot of those pieces. I also want to give a shout out to Nina Kelly from Warning Label Discussions. She has been a wealth of information. She has done a lot of research, and she's been kind enough to share that research with me. And she's really digging into this case. So I really appreciate her. And I really appreciate all of you who have contacted me with information or, posted your thoughts and ideas in the comments. Because as I've said, I've gotten a lot of really good information in the comments. So I really do appreciate all of you. I kind of feel like this is a case that we can all work on together. And that, to me, makes things a lot more interesting. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I really do appreciate it. And if you liked my video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel. As I said, we're going to be talking about the Bryan Kohberger hearings tomorrow and the change of venue along with the surprises that came along with that. So we'll see y'all tomorrow, and I hope that you have a great day.